Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Helm to Tower podcast. That's right. It's another week. Excuse me. It's another week.
Mike's dying. Oh my God.
I got
Call an ambulance.
I got the burpees, as they say here. As a grown adult man, I'm saying I have the burpees. Hello, I'm Mike Burgess, host. I'm here with Auri O'Neill. How you doing, Auri?
Doing great. Living my best life. I got an air conditioner in my room.
You control it yourself. You have the power to control it.
I
love
even
that.
have a little remote.
I love that. It's amazing.
I got my videos set up for people watching the video version. You can see all my stuff.
That's right.
Now.
You can see. Yeah, we're getting your set up there with your Sprigatito. I dig it. Getting for exclusive for video viewers on youtube.com/HelmTower. You can see that Sprigatito if you go there and check out the podcast. But you can listen to us on podcast services as well. We're on those as well. So wherever you like to listen or watch, we appreciate it for sure. But yeah, Destiny 2 still going, still a video game. It's still I think everybody who's keeps up with the game and is probably checking out knows that like we're in that kind of, it's late in the season. There's not too much going on. We did have the kind of seasonal big event start this week. Solstice is back for I think the sixth year it's been going. And we'll talk about that, I guess, because it is. I mean, spoilers. It's not much that different, but we'll talk about it. Some other things went on. You were telling me that another week of Veil Containment story came on. There was a pretty big info dump there, so we'll talk about that as well in the episode. And then we'll talk about actually playing Destiny, because I actually did that this week compared to maybe some more recent episodes. I think we both actually played some this week.
Ton.
Yeah, I played a decent amount as well. Just catching up. Again, yeah, I jumped in because of Solstice. I wanted to see what Solstice was like and wanted to get that armor, because the armor is pretty cool for this year. I definitely liked the sets in particular. The Warlock one's really cool. I like the Titan one as well. They're all looking pretty snazzy this year, so I dig those. So I grabbed those for sure. But yeah, it was just also like a moment of just like, let me just kind of start playing catch up and like start trying to like check in the list, because I finished I finished the amount of seasonal challenges I need to do to get that big Bright Dust drop. I did that. I started bounty hoarding as well. I'm even at that point now. That's where I'm at, getting ready for next season. That's where I'm going to do it this season after having not done it for a while, just because I'm
goddamn sicko.
Yeah, I'm rolling the dice. I'm banking in on Bungie to give us a banger of a season. I'm also on the train of like, I'm hoping we come out of that August showcase excited and stoked for where Destiny's gonna go, and I want to do my part to like try and get myself in the excited mood, because as everybody knows, it's been a rocky road this season, and even with the Lightfall a little bit, it was just like, trying to want to be excited for Destiny again. We'll see if they're able to kind of get everybody back on board, including myself, with that showcase we're seeing, which by the time this episode is out will be less than a month away. So we're getting there. It'll be pretty much August, or less will be days away.
It's a month from like yesterday.
Yeah, because it's the 22nd. Which is the start of the next season. That's where we're getting our thing.
Wild.
Yeah, it's we're not that far away, right? It's pretty crazy.
I've been playing so many video games, I forgot.
Same here.
We're not short on things to do until
yes,
then,
yeah, definitely for sure. We were just talking before the show. Just like I picked up Pinkman 4, which just came out this past weekend. I've been playing that. It's pretty fun. You'll see if you want to go check it on YouTube.com. You can see there's viewpoints of that, and there's also viewpoints of another weird indie game I was playing, which is called My Friendly Neighborhood, and it is a first-person shooter game where you are going into a defunct studio where a children's program was going on, a la the Sesame Streets are Muppets of the world, and the Muppets have gone crazy in the studio and are now like almost like zombie-like, and now it is it's a very interesting setup for a game, and I played a little bit of it for a Viewpoints video. So if that sounds intriguing, you can go check that out on our main channel, youtube.com. I think you would actually like it because it is very Resident Evil as well. Ooh. Like straight up, like you pull out an inventory and it's like boxes and you're mixing max. You know, the save stations and healing stations, like you have to find tokens. You have limited uses of them. It's very, very Resident Evil in terms of how you play it. But obviously it's in the mask of it is you're like they're not like really like spooky scary, they're just kind of literally like children puppets, and they're like they like wave their arms around like crazy, and they like yell out crazy words. They're like constantly talking when they're nearby, so you're just hearing them be like, no, you're ABCs, and they're just and it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous video game. It's very fun. But yeah, anyway, that's not Destiny 2.
we gotta get in the promo somewhere, you know.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, I've been still playing around those games a decent amount this week. But yeah, I will say Solstice has started this week, and I will say I finished it within 2 days because we'll say it is a pretty easy Solstice, but it's pretty much like one for one what it's been for many years, and that's disappointing to me in some ways. But I want to give to you. I want to hear what you're thinking about Solstice this year in particular, or just like in general, what you've always kind of thought of this summer event.
I would say Solstice is the event I'm like most whatever on. Well, no, I like Dawning more. I don't like Snowballs.
Sure.
Because they're a hassle. Although the things they've done in like last year and the year before that to make snowballs better and like an effective weapon to actually get kills with, that stuff has been good and additive to Dawning. But yeah, I would say I still like Solstice more than the Halloween event. What is that called?
Festival of the Lost. Yeah.
But yeah, I would also still say Guardian Games is still my favorite. That's the one I have the most fun with.
Okay.
And that's the one I like the weapons for the most, I would say, as well. So yeah, I mean, it's fine. I started Solstice today, and I finished Solstice today.
Nice.
So yes, yeah. I was grateful that it was much easier.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it that. It was very, very easy. This is probably I feel like the easiest an event has been in a while. Yeah. For sure.
I finished it like 30 minutes before we started recording, for reference. So
nice.
It wasn't, it did take all day. I've been playing since this morning. So, yeah, I mean, like the worst parts were like do stuff on Neomuna, which I guess the activity there doesn't even count.
Yeah, so that has to be. I don't know if they've like called that out as a bug yet or something, but I feel like that has to be a bug to like currently terminal overload, which is like feels like one of the main things to do on Neomuna, especially after the campaign is like does not work. It's very weird.
Yeah, so I mean, I did like the daily or weekly campaign mission a few times, and then I did a lost sector a few times. Both of those get 10%.
Yep.
And both of those, well, the campaign mission was fine. The lost sector, it's just
they're long.
I hate how long they feel.
Yeah, they're very long.
That's
lost
why
sectors
I like
on there.
To Europa and like knocking out the one Vex lost sector, because it's just.
Yeah, they're much. The older ones are like much shorter and snappier, and are better to feel like you're like farming them, so to speak.
It's not even that. It's the fact that everything is harder on you.
That definitely factors in. Yeah, you're right.
That's the biggest thing.
Takes a lot longer to chunk some of those things down, or like feel like you're like forced to be a much more optimal on Neomuna compared to some of the other things. So yeah, I'm with you. That definitely was one that took the longest for me as well. It was just like, all right, I'm just gonna go run the story mission a billion times because I'm sure people are just doing that. I know there's other things like I know like people always point to that like checkpoint on one of the story missions you could do, but I didn't.
There's always one of those, right?
Yeah, there's always one of them. Yeah, I ended up doing that, but yeah, I just did a bunch of them, story missions and a couple lost sectors and called it a day on that one. Yeah, for me, event wise, there was a point in time when I would have considered Solstice my favorite out of all of the events. I really liked it when it was. I liked it more than before it was Bonfire Bash. But to be fair, by the time it turned to Bonfire Bash, it was nice that it was like changing up to something. And I think that's like the core problem with Solstice is like out of all the events, it has been the same event for so long that it just feels like untapped potential, especially if you compare it to like all the other ones where like it has its own unique area that comes into the game with the aerial zone, and it's just been the same zone for like the 5 years. They've done it every year, and it's like they haven't changed it, or they haven't mixed that up at all. I know like 1 year for Solstice, this was back when, with the Red War and stuff was, and they did like heroic story missions, which basically was like what we have in the game now. But they were different, completely different, where like you would basically like run through the story mission things for the Red War, but like it would put different enemies in different places than they were in the original mission and have different objectives and stuff that were like tied to Solstice for the event and stuff. So like there was a time when it was like really cool, and I think like even though like it was way more of a grind when it was in that iteration, especially for the armor, like because like the whole set thing with the armor was like you would start with a green set of armor and you put it on, and then each individual piece would have its own like mission objectives, and then you would do that, and then you move up all the way till you get to purple, and then have like a second tier purple where you get the glows on them, and like that was like it I like that conceptually, even though like it was an intense grind, just because of the idea of like being more invested in this set of armor that you're like unlocking and getting, and like that aspect of it was cool. Conceptually, even if it just was ultimately like this like crazy hella grind at the time.
Yeah, and they changed it so that way you could use like whatever armor you wanted to use. Now you don't have to wear. You had to wear the Solstice armor to do those objectives, but I still like in the spirit of Solstice, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I still wear the Solstice armor as I'm upgrading it. So
yeah, you do need to do it to an extent because that's how you get some of the currencies to get the armor. But once you have the currencies, you can then throw it off if you don't want to use it. But yeah, that's what it is now. Where like it's definitely super simplified now. Where it's like just they give you the legendary set, and then you just kind of get those. You get the currencies, and then you're kind of feeding the currencies in to get the slightly better armor version. I just did it till you get the glows, and then I just deleted it all so I could make it like transmog later. I just deleted all of those things pretty much as soon as I was done because it's just this year, man, just like the Solstice, I feel like they even changed it up even more because like another aspect I liked of Solstice before, which I know was not everyone's thing. It was like I liked the idea of like when you finished the activity, you did this like little treasure hunt around the map, and it had you like exploring and like going around and finding chests. And I know like it was kind of it could be like little like people like feeling like they're missing out because you maybe don't get every chest in that little moment if you're not like quick about it. But like more times than not, it was totally fine. It was not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Or now it's just like you just instantly melt a boss, and then a bunch of stuff gets crapped out of the bonfire thing in the center, and then like you're getting more armor, which they already gave you, and then you're getting the new strand rocket launcher, which is not very good. Unfortunately, it's a strand rocket, so like there's not any of those yet, but like it does not really have any interesting roles or anything that can like make it stand above any other kind of rockets at the moment. So I kind of got an okayish roll of that and threw it in my vault, and I'm probably never going to use that. But yeah,
I'm on the opposite side. I didn't like the treasure hunt stuff. I'm totally fine with it just dumping the loot on you. They did, change Solstice Bonfire Bash specifically a little bit this year to be do up to 30 lits, whatever they're called, bonfire.
Yeah, throwing the things, yeah.
Lit orbs. It's lit fam orbs.
Lit up. Look, you're lighting it up.
And now the orbs are like really short drop timers, so you're supposed to stick together as opposed to everyone like goes to their side and just like holds down the fort on their side.
Everyone still did that anyway. we with the timers.
For me, I've been mostly going with people because the first one I did, we did all 30 in one go, which is one of like the Gilded Triumphs, which is very intense. I've only done that like a couple of times. So that knowing that the first time I did it, and then like I did it 7 more times and didn't get all 30 on any of those, and then on the 8th I finally got it again. Yeah, I like that change to make it so you're moving as a group, and most of the people I've played with have been doing that. Save for a couple ones, but it definitely makes it tough to get under the time. But I'm definitely in the camp of let's just seasonal event activities, just keep them short. I don't want them to be long. This is 8 minutes or less, basically, and that's all it needed to be. So as long as it's short, I don't mind, because I still have to do a bunch more to get more dust, some of that good silver dust, to snort it into my armor and make it extra statty, because I like to do that with one set at least. But last year I was like grinding out Solstice armor left and right because I wanted to like make all these big stat builds. But now that I've got this lovely Artifice set, I mean, it's the only set of armor I use.
Yeah, like armor just does not matter as much in the current game to an extent, right? Because it's like
it's so flexible,
Yeah, but it's just kind of stats, and like you can, with Artifice armor and like throwing stat mods in, you can kind of just get pretty much what you want most times now, so it's pretty easy.
But I mean, I'll say it's fun. It's inoffensive, and as today, getting it truly like. Here's the beautiful thing that I remembered about Destiny today. I just, I've been emotionally devastated by every video game I've played for like the last 2 months, because they're great, not like bad or anything. I've just like been so into these like big RPGs, like Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16. I just played Tales of Arise, which just decimated me in a good way. And if you missed that game, you should play it. Because I did, and it's good. So I forgot that Destiny is just like the perfect. After I've finished a really long game, just sit and play Destiny all day. Yeah. And it's just, hey, it's not going to be different than you remember it, but it's here for you, and it's like a big warm hug. And I just like stuff, was like playing music. I got to, because I was using my Solstice armor. That's like shit. I'm just using no build at the moment, right? I have this Solstice armor on, no exotic. I'm just switching subclasses because like that's the spirit of Solstice for me, is like kind of throwing the builds out the window and remembering what it's like to be a pleb until I upgrade this armor set. And let me tell you, it reminded me how much my builds are. I'm spoiled on ability cooldowns. Sitting there in a 3-minute and 6-second grenade cooldown in a match of Gambit, like I hope I get another grenade before the Primeval gets summoned.
Primeval just shows up,
But yeah, so like that's been fun, and I played on all 5 subclasses today, which is always fun. Tried out some stuff. I used guns I've never used before today. Because I'm listening to Dado. I'm forgetting who I was, putting it behind me. Exotic primaries only. I'm not
okay.
I'm not living in this life where I'm leveling up guns. Fuck that. We're living with Sunshot and Incandescent, and we're having it. I've never used Sunshot before today, just so you know. Like ever. I got the Catalyst at some point. Yeah. Graviton Lance, first time I'm ever using that gun. Boy, they made that way too strong, huh?
Yep, it's fucking incredible now. I was going to bring that up.
It's so fun, though.
It's insane.
Yeah, I love it. And for first-time use, like coming out the gate late in the game here, very fun. Slowly making my way on that Catalyst, which I actually didn't have. And I was using Sunshot. I was using like Osteo Striga. I've been using Quicksilver Storm. Breaking out the fan favorites. And trying out just every subclass under the sun. Knocked out a full deep dive. Did my first like full all modifiers all the way down to the bottom of the ocean floor deep dive.
Nice.
Did a bunch of stuff. I've not gotten the last right, I believe is the scout rifle.
No, it's Wicked Implement.
Wicked Implement. Thank you. Boy,
I haven't got
how
that. I
I
haven't got.
remember any
Yeah.
gun's name
Yeah.
in this game.
I haven't gotten that thing either yet. We should do that.
Yeah, we should. Just at some point. And yeah, I did a Legend salvage. I probably
Yeah,
played
I did
more
one of those.
salvage today than I have the entire season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just getting in the groove of things. I will say it is definitely like weird coming back and like not knowing things, like because I haven't been playing as hard as I usually play. Like you're gonna have to explain this one to me. The arc pulse that comes out of you. I assume some seasonal artifact mod.
So there's a couple ways that's happening. The one is there's a solstice. There's a solstice modifier right now that's like called like flame bound or something like that, and it's like that pulse is like just solstice, where it's just like I don't know, I don't specifically remember what you do, but it like you like get some kills or do some specific thing, and it makes that little pulse on you. And then also like when you're near teammates, your super regens faster. Those are like the two. That's like the two things they were like, you're solstice, and these are like the two things we kind of added, I guess, because we didn't make a new game mode or really change much else. So anyway, throw this out. Yeah, I definitely feel that too. Like I definitely was like trying to like get back into things and remember like all the aspects of this video game, and then was like, oh yeah, I didn't do a bunch of random catalysts from like the more recent seasons, so let me just start doing that. Like I did the Malfeasance one, nice. the two-tailed fox, and then the stasis bow from last season. I didn't finish any of those catalysts recently, so that was like that's kind of like the thing I was doing earlier this week. I was just using those a bunch and got all that done. And then I also did a Legend salvage because that was one of the challenges. And that felt almost non-different at all to a normal salvage. It was not different in any way, shape, or form, so that was kind of like, whatever, all right.
Yeah, no, not complaining. It's just very...
Yeah.
We've talked about it before, but like just... it's really box of chocolate style. Like, if you go into a Legends Dares, you better get ready to get absolutely fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
But Legend Salvage, whatever.
It's like maybe there's maybe one champion sometimes, I don't know, like every like barely for half the thing, and it's like,
and we didn't get one of the encounters that had it. So
yeah, it's a very, very weird thing in general, salvages. But yeah, it's that was fine. And then getting into Solstice. For me, Solstice just feels like it's untapped potential. Like, I agree that like I don't want it to be like, I don't feel like an event should be this super elaborate thing that you're doing in, but I think it's just that it's been the same EAZ for 5+ years, and like you're still largely doing the same thing in that zone, and like they spent this time making this zone and they don't really feel like they do anything with it. And like the one thing I liked about the treasure hunt is this was a little bit more involved with the previous like style of like you had to go to all these different areas to like fight Taken or fight a specific enemy to get these like charges or whatever to get all the treasure chests to show up, where like that was like I feel like you were exploring way more of the actual big map that there is for that. Like of like, all right, I'm going inside this building, or I'm going on top of this building, where now it's like you go to like the same 4 spots in the current Bonfire Bash Solstice, which is like all on the ground. You go to the building once for like a Taken fight, and that's it. And but at the same time, they've put like lifts and grab things that shoot you everywhere that make it easier to get around the map than it ever was when we had to do all that stuff, and which made it feel more like a pain in the ass. So I feel like that stuff would be way more fun and interesting if we had way more. Now we have way more ways to fly around the map and do more things there. We also have Strand now, so like there was no real like. I feel like I did not even need to be using Strand in interesting ways to like use this thing. Which granted. I guess like Solstice is free to play, so at the end of the day they're probably not going to have it be like centered around a thing you have to pay to get. So that's probably fair. But I feel like they just
Strand grappling points in the sky wouldn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just felt I just feel like there was like it felt like there's still untapped potential with that mode, and like they didn't go deep enough into it, and like that's like, and granted that's like a lot of the events where I feel like they could do a little bit more, but they just kind of keep them smaller, but then also still make a upgraded card that you can spend more money on to get these cosmetics, baby. Cha-ching.
No, nobody does this.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've never met any single person even tempted to do it.
Yeah. It just doesn't seem worth it because you get like a shader. You get another shader that's like behind a thing, and then there's some okay-ish cosmetics that I don't know if they'll ever. I'm guessing they'll eventually just go back into the rotation with other ones later the following years. Like I only use my bright dust to just get the ornaments, really.
Yeah.
But I don't really buy much else for Solstice or any of the events. So yeah, just weird. But yeah, again, it's, like you said, it's not really like, it's not harmful. It's not like it's not like outright bad. It's just kind of like, okay, I did this. I did that. Let me just do this to get done in 2 days, and then I'm never going to think about the Solstice again in like a week or two. So it's fine.
It's another thing to do that is something that you've done hundreds of times already.
Yeah.
Which Destiny does not need more of, certainly.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
I get that. I will say, and we've talked about this in previous weeks, boy, love the dopamine of coming back and like doing one round of Gambit and finishing 6 seasonal challenges. Just feels so good.
I've been holding on to a bunch of Nightfall ones when I can finally get people together to do some Grandmasters and just do like one Grandmaster and finish like 4 different challenges. Even though I did do a bunch of even though I'm like basically done with them because I got the Bright Dust, but still get a little bit extra would be nice.
I went from like 30 seasonal challenges completed to 64 today, I think. Something like that. Not intentionally, too. I was doing Solstice stuff, and it just like ticked off the list as it went down.
Just ticked off a bunch of stuff. Yeah, because
I'm level 99, coming up from level 68.
Wow, yeah.
In 1 day.
Nice.
To let you know how that went.
Yeah. Nice,
Feeling
yeah.
very good. I have quite a few challenges left to do. And most of them I feel like are PvP related. Is there another Iron Banner?
No, Iron Banner. Last week was the last Iron Banner, so
fuck.
You're out of luck on that Iron Banner. Whatever.
Turns out I don't give a shit about Iron Lord either.
yeah. I was gonna say I didn't. I think I did Iron Banner that first week to get something. I don't remember. Remember what it was. The emblem. That's right. The wolf emblem was cool, but I did not. I have not touched Iron Banner at all this week. I did play Trials for the first time yesterday to do the one challenge where it's like get 20 rounds or whatever, and I did the 20 rounds. That gave me 3 of the Trials engrams, so I bought a piece of like the armor that I'm missing, and then I'm not gonna. Then I'll do that again when that challenge. I'll play Trials again when that challenge comes again in like 3 months when the next season or whatever.
Yeah, I should get like a drop of that glaive just so I can put my collection.
So that's where I'm at on the PvP energy at the moment.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I think I've realized, because I've been, I have a relatively okay time in PvP. Sometimes not, but relatively.
Yeah.
But the thing that I like about PvP right now, and again, I've taken the word of Dado to heart and just foregone all legendary primary weapons right now because it is just not as fun to use them, but they are very fun to use in PvP. And I have like all these great PvP guns, and I like using them, and I have builds for them and do fun stuff with them. But so like that's a good place for them for me, and I like that. I like how they feel right there for now. But in PvE, yeah, it's more like, I could be doing 40% more damage, so why am I not doing that?
Yeah, that's definitely a good call. I've definitely found myself in scenarios like that too, where I'm using more varied stuff, and like I was using getting malfeasance. I guess and be like, dang, this thing cracked, feels good. Quicksilver Storm also dang, this thing's
very good.
This thing just melts through shit compared to like using even like Rufus Fury, which I like a lot. and it feels great. Like I like Rufus, but yeah, like he's showing quick search and it's like, wow, this is like a very, very big difference.
This is much easier.
Yeah, this can shred through stuff, and then I was like stuff like Graviton Lance. Yeah, just man, just melt through shit. I don't need any of this.
Yeah, Graviton's fun as someone who's never used it before.
Yeah,
and just dropping void explosions all over the place.
It's pretty fun. Just get a crowd of dudes, and that's another thing. Another thing I did is I did set up some new builds on PVE builds on my Hunter and my Titan, and one of them was finally doing a Gear Falcon's Hunter build.
Nice.
And that definitely enhances using Graviton Lance even more because I have it. So it's just like, go invisible, just pop one dude. He just explodes into a million things, but also I go out and Viz. He's also volatile on top of the explosion, and then I'm using the stylish executioner thing on that. So then it's just like they all explode, and I go immediately get turned back invisible, and then just go run over and grab a void breach, and then I have Devour, and I'm running around invisible with Devour, just shooting everything with Graviton Lance and just shooting crowds and watching them all explode at once.
And if you have your artifact set up right, that breach is giving you overshield too. So
yeah, I could even do that. Because I wasn't even doing that part because I usually just had all the arc ones because I was using a lot of arc stuff in the season. Well, and for my other build on my Titan, on my Arc Titan, I set up the Skull Fort build where I have Thunderclap and I can just sit there and just like as long as I'm doing a Thunderclap punch in a dude, I immediately have it back and I'm instantly healed, so I can literally just like run around a map. Especially in low level stuff, I can just sit there and just like Thunderclap punch everything. It's very stupid, but a lot of fun. And I was glad to like change it up a little bit because I've always been Thunder Crash Titan for like years, Orpheus Rig on my Hunter for years. And I've always just kind of stuck to those because I just liked the utility they had at the time. But just trying, just because I can make loadouts, I just made separate loadouts with those set up on them and just messing around. And were very fun, and I'm liking them a lot.
Yeah, like it was just really fun since I played so much today, and I haven't for like a month at least. Just like I love where we're at as far as play diversity is concerned.
Sandbox stuff in general.
Like when doing the Bonfire Bash, and it's like I'm Solar, and this Hunter Strand, and this Titan is Arc. Like the synergy of all the different things that we can do together as a team is so fun, and all the colors popping off. I got backlights for my TV, so basically whatever subclass I am running, my entire room is glowing that color.
Nice, wow!
Because I'm making explosions of that color, and it's very fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
But so yeah, just all the lights and whatever coming through. I really like. It's so cool to have 5 subclass, like 15 classes to play effectively.
Yeah.
All with different little minutiaes and exotics and weapons and things that go
stuff
in.
that enhance that beyond that for sure.
It's just the game has come so far. I did have the thought of like I just wish I hadn't played 2,000 hours to get here. It'd be so much nicer if I had only played like 100 hours and now I have all this.
Yeah.
But hey, it's still a good time regardless, and there's still just so many different ways to play.
Yeah, for sure. It's still even in this downtime, I think that you can take away is this, we're still finding some fun ways to do stuff, and it's even though in taking breaks. Now we're coming back from a break and being like, oh yeah, Destiny, yeah. It's a fun time, even if it's not at its high point in other aspects. It's an alright time. But yeah, that's mostly what we're playing. The Solstice is fine enough. I'll probably at least just do the bounties to get the extra bright dust each week at least while I'm finishing up bounties. But admittedly, once I probably get that full amount of bounties, I'll probably jump around to some other games. While we probably get info, because I'm hoping, we're hoping now we're basically in August. We're just we'll be weeks out till that big event and the new season. We're probably gonna start getting some articles soon from Bungie devs. They actually talked about it this week in the TWAB. Sorry, I'm not calling it TWID. Bungie people from Bungie will have to pry that. We'll have to pry that from my from my cold dead hands in the grave to get me to get Twid. But here I'll just say verbatim what they said in the TWAB. New developers insights incoming. Same way we previewed the changes coming to weapons in the mid-season update. We have plans for another developer insight before the month ends. So this was like last week, started this week's TWAB. So that probably means this week, because last end of the month would be end of July, I think is what they're saying. This time, the economy team will cover some updates to master working currencies and weapons coming to the Destiny 2 ritual activities in Season 22. We'll have more to share when the article drops next week. So for now, let's just keep the focus on the current season. That's what they said in the TWAB earlier this week. But so that's cool. We'll learn some currency updates. I wonder if they're going to delete another currency from existence or talk about maybe some new ones, because we know like there's some other exotic things happening, exotic rotators happening. So I'm sure there's got to be something we're farming from that for some reason or another.
Or this deep site resonance, how they're going to incorporate that in the game.
Yeah, that'd be nice to know how that's going to be a thing going forward for sure. I hope it's obtainable, not a crazy way, but in a nice way. We'll have to see.
I'm just, as far as I'm concerned, right now, the 6 that I get this season are the only 6 I'm ever gonna get.
Yeah.
Like that's how I'm thinking about it right now.
I can see that. Well, it's depending on how it goes.
13 spoils of conquest right now.
I'm definitely very low on those as well.
There's just some things I just can't get. I can't grind for. You can't make me.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to farm for those, for sure.
I don't know how to get Neomuna weapons.
Someone
tell me.
Just don't at this point. It was heroic. Heroic patrols used to be the best way, but then they nerfed that, and now it's just like, yeah. What do you even do now to like get those in a meaningful way? No. Level up Nimbus. Go level up another character and play through. That's the actual answer. Just don't care about it and go play another game.
Stop giving a shit about deep site resonance. I should just play the campaign on my Titan. I bet I will finish everything I need to do.
Yeah.
Unlock Strand. I've not played Strand Titan, arguably the best Strand class. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to.
So that's coming. We'll probably come the same week this podcast goes live. So we'll probably talk about that in the next episode and whatever else is going on. But that's really admittedly all there kind of was in the TWAB this week. Besides, you can buy some Solstice classes.
Come on, don't you want to buy some Solstice sunglasses?
No, absolutely not.
It's so bright from the glow of my armor.
From the glow of my armor, get fucked. That's fine. I didn't actually. I missed this community emblem. 2 weeks ago, we announced our first ever worldwide Bungie community emblem art contest with the help of Bungie Foundation. So we loved it. We'll contact you shortly the next steps, and thank you to everybody who was part of the contest. Amazing work. This artist community is visually gifted. So I guess. So somebody made one, and then Bungie devs have voted on it. I wonder if they'll actually put that in the game or not. I don't know if it's.
It's fun. It's like a little hand-drawn notebook.
Yeah, it's like a hand-drawn notebook page.
Somebody named Alex.
Carry something with a G.
Shout out to them. It wasn't me a month ago, I promise.
Yeah, I see they linked his to the Twitter. That's pretty fun. I wonder if that's going to be like an actual emblem they put in the game, or if that's just or not. But yeah, that is. I like that too. It looks really nice. I like the little goofy one. I like goofy ones like that because there's another one they did in the game that's like it was one of the Twitch Twitch ones they did. It was like a Twitch drop where you had to gift 2 subs to somebody in a Destiny 2 stream, but it's like 90s like Windows styled like menu on your emblem, which is pretty fun. That's cool.
And the Telesto one kind of reminds me of that. Telesto is taking over the game.
Yeah, it's all glitched out emblem. So that's fun. But yeah, that was kind of all there was in there. And then I know you mentioned there was going to be a Veil Containment got more story this week.
Yeah, there were two big veil containment episodes.
Yeah,
Audio
audio
logs.
logs. We got some hot audio logs from who's it? Chioma Essie.
Chioma Essie.
Chioma Essie. So I admittedly have not really been going each week to listen to these. I've been at this point. I did it for a while, but then after a certain point, I was like, you know what, this is cool, but I'd rather just wait for like the Bifer Myland video. That's like, here's the whole story in this video. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Welcome to the Ari O'Neill video.
Yeah,
Well,
so that's why. Let me hear it. What did they talk about in the recent film containments?
So the two most recent ones here. Last week was, I would say, the bigger revelation. Very interesting. Chioma explains how Maya's been like trying to figure out how to use the veil in their early landing on Neptune. And I assume this is like them building this actual facility around it, that you're in there learning about it. And the experiments are happening in that original facility. So Lakshmi 2, which is an EXO, whom you might be familiar with. Anyone that's like old hat, Destiny 1 era, or had played back through Season of Splicers when she like really entered the main narrative.
Yeah, space racist.
Space racist Lakshmi 2. She got your back as long as you're not fallen. But she's also like, she was the head of Future War Cult and like the rep for Future War Cult all the way back to Destiny 1. Voice actress, very well known. Everybody loves this voice actress. She's like
iconic voice. Yep.
I don't know her name, but she's great.
Yeah, it's a name I would absolutely butcher if I tried to say it. So I'm just not going to attempt it. But if you hear her voice, it's pretty immediately
she's in like
recognizable.
every sci-fi series ever, like Mass Effect, Star Trek, everything. She's so great. But so it turns out Lakshmi 2 was in the Neomuna colony, one of the exos that died there, and which is a already baseline very big revelation. And she was the first that Maya Sundaresh, who is the person who's like going down the problematic veil path, getting kind of obsessed with it in a very what's his name? What's the EXO guy? Big EXO man. EXO head.
Clovis.
In a very Clovis Bray like way, and how he kind of became obsessed with clarity, which is also darkness. Spoilers. Maya copied herself into Lakshmi 2. And Lakshmi 2 became Maya Sundaresh. So the character that we were interacting with the whole time, A, came from Neomuna, and B, was actually an EXO living copy of Maya Sundaresh,
Wow.
which is a big revelation.
Yeah.
Definitely colors her character totally different. We don't know still if Lakshmi 2, as we met her, remembered being on Neomuna.
Right. It could be like a Banshee situation. Who's also he's technically like a memory of, or technically Clovis, but he doesn't have any of the memories of these moments in time of when he actually was Clovis. He just became his own person, and that seems like maybe similar. Could it be potentially similar to what happened with Lakshmi? We don't know for sure.
We don't know. It's definitely
it's hard to say because she is dead.
Yeah, they established that Lakshmi 2 was Lakshmi 2.
Right.
And Maya, essentially, after all the exos died when they came in contact with the Veil, Maya replaced whatever was in Lakshmi 2 with herself. So it's very much, and the way Osiris reacts to this information is he's like, this makes me question whether or not Lakshmi 2 is dead right now, A, and B, like what the motivations were beyond stuff. And then the following week, that was kind of the tail end of that. It just kind of left you wondering, A lot of great stuff. Bife did a great video on this. Highly recommend it. Where he kind of went back into old, whatever Ishtar Collective stuff, and like tied that back to Lakshmi, which tied that back to Future War Cult, and created it answers like the way he analyzed it really answered some like deep lore questions about Future War Cult, which was very interesting if you care.
Cool.
Not essential, but like I like the lore stuff.
Right.
And then this week they're like, okay, here's what the Veil is. It is a collection of the subconscious. It's like some consciousness link in some way, all tied together. And they didn't really necessarily get into it more than that, but it seems to be like in the same way the Traveler is like a gardener and is like a terraforming device. The Veil is like a terraforming consciousness device. That's why it ripped through the Exos when they got near it.
Okay.
So it is like literal darkness because darkness is tied to the consciousness.
Right.
So, what we've already figured out by this point that it is like the darkness equivalent of the Traveler. We know this now. It is like, what does that mean? It is like effectively consciousness and a conduit for that, and tapping into that as a power, as a paracausal force, which manifests when we use it as Strand, but that didn't happen until Guardians arrived, obviously.
Right.
Which is interesting. It's interesting to like this core darkness object is based in Strand and consciousness. And obviously darkness manifests in different ways, just like light manifests in different ways than terraforming. So
right. Yeah.
But and there's more about it, and Chioma Essie talks a lot about how like problematic Maya Sundaresh has become, basically, and how she like the big revelation or accomplishment of this Chioma Essie log was that Maya successfully hooked living people up to the Veil, and they were able to enter the consciousness and then leave without melting their brains. So like that would then obviously turn into what we know as the Cloud Arc.
Right.
And so like the Cloud Arc exists within the Veil, as like a safe platform, I assume, within the realm of consciousness. And that kind of ties everything together. I'm very curious because, like we said last episode, there's apparently going to be more through the end of this season.
Yeah.
This would be 4 more audio logs.
Oh,
I don't know because there's 4 weeks left. I don't know what else there is to talk about. This one kind of had a finality to it, but it's good stuff there. It doesn't take long to listen to if you're into the Ishtar Collective and Future War Cult and kind of getting weird old lore connections. It's got some really good stuff in there.
Yeah, we could just learn about like what happened to these people because we don't know like who Chioma where she is at this point. I don't know if that was in this week or not, or like we could learn about that or something.
I assume the creation of the first Cloud Strider could also be covered in these.
Because they said it's supposed to go throughout the season. There's supposed to be things also in subsequent season, maybe not like a full audio log like this, but like they made it sound like you'll be able to like you could jump into it at the start of next season, and there'll be something there.
There'll be at least one new thing there at the start of the next 2 seasons, which is good. Again, maybe not the best delivery mechanism. I appreciate that it's quick and easy to get to.
Yeah,
and there's good commentary from like Nimbus and Osiris on how this reflects onto the story and the characters.
Yeah. It's just it's definitely a weird delivery of it, and like how is that? And I'm just like also super curious, like because they said this stuff is gonna stick around post Lightfall or post like Final Shape rather.
Yeah.
And like so that means like you basically finish the Lightfall campaign and then go do Veil containment, and then you're just gonna sit there for like 45 minutes just listening to like this long stretch of audio log, and that's how you get all this info like given to you. Like I guess if like that's what they're gonna end up doing, but like that's just again weird delivery mechanism that just I don't think worked all the way for me, and clearly a lot of other folks. But still interesting stuff. It's cool to
It's
hear.
good stuff. It's just given to you in the weirdest way possible. But I'm sure a lot of people would make the same argument about the lore books, which have been a thing for centuries. It feels like,
Right. Yeah, because this ultimately is just like a audiobook
audio
lore book.
Yeah.
Right.
And I kind of would be okay if they added a lore book that is just a transcript of all of this as well, just so you can read through it.
Yeah.
Because that would tie into how Destiny tends to deliver these things a little more. Although it is nice to have like voice acted lore as opposed to me just sitting there in the dark reading it, which I will happily do, and I will continue to do so. And once again, I will tell everyone listening, please go read the lore book from this season. It's very, very good. It's the best one they've done in a little while. So I would take some time just to read it. It's not long.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, just curious as always, just to see like what shape that stuff will take post final shape, because they said a lot of it is staying around in the game. So we'll just have to wait and see for that one. There was something I was gonna also ask, but now I'm blanking on it.
Is it about Lakshmi 2's weird Vex device that lets her see the future? Because they didn't talk about that.
Did they not talk about that? Yeah, I was gonna say
didn't talk about that.
Weird. Yeah. I'm curious, because we know from some of the interviews last week that we talked about in the podcast that like the Vex are going to have a larger role post final shape. So I wonder if they can maybe that's going to be setting up stuff of that Vex device that Lakshmi used could be involved in that stuff, or how we her connection to Neomuna or whatever, and what is that thing if she's still around, or what does that even mean if she's
what I will say
in
is
Neomuna somehow.
Bife covers the Vex device in his video and how he thinks that ties together. So.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, that's pretty cool. That's good to hear that they finally just told us what that Dingnab Veil is this season in general.
I'm sure I butchered the actual words that they use, but the gist of it is that it's like a consciousness conduit.
Yeah. Gotcha. And that makes, I guess that can make sense for the inside the Traveler is it's kind of like the veil connecting to the Traveler, so is that
consciousness,
the Traveler's consciousness, or the humans, or maybe it's that is the plane of consciousness for Guardians that were connected to the Traveler, and that's how somebody like Cade maybe shows up there, because he's a part of that, and maybe they can have that be a way to show these, to have all these, have a reason for him to be still there somehow, and maybe potentially other Guardians of famous history will show up there somehow, or something like that. Who knows what they'll end up doing. We'll see soon enough here in
I pulled
less than a month.
Real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I just love the lore. Just so I could, the exact wording, the Veil, it's some kind of web of consciousness, just like the Vex network, but organic instead of artificial.
Okay.
Those were the specific words.
Yeah, and I wonder if that also is a very much a thing of tying to the Vex and how their origins, because if they probably maybe somehow figured out some kind of Vex, super Vex learned how to recreate, or tried recreating the Veil like they tried to do with the Traveler, but could figure out the Veil to an extent, but couldn't figure out the Traveler and the Light, and that's why we can combat against them, because even though they figured out the subconscious of the Veil, or the Dark, whatever, by making the Vex network, this thing that transcends that kind of stuff, but they can't, they can only do it so much. Interesting.
It is really interesting, and it also explains why when the Guardians got close to the Veil, when Guardians first ever got close to the Veil, we started seeing the threads, right? Because we were just naturally attuned to darkness already, and then start
Right.
tapping into the specific darkness power that the veil gives off, which is consciousness, which is strand, um, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. It's just been nice it would have been nice to know that, like, when we instead of having an extra training montage cutscene in the Lightfall campaign, maybe they could have maybe told us more about that stuff, which would have been way cooler. But it is what it is at this point. We don't want to harp on it too much, but at least we got answers. We can now. I feel like again. I'm hoping this can actually be kind of a better moving on point into like this next part of being like, all right, we're getting in the Traveler, and that has that can be its own thing and not have like so much tied up in the idea of the veil and this and that, and like that'll obviously play its role when it needs to play its role in that. But I'm hoping like with the next season we can kind of like not think about that as much, and then because now that we know all that stuff, we can just talk about something else and have it be focused on other stuff that's like preparing for this.
Savathun talk to us about consciousness.
Yeah, or to have her be involved in whatever. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. A few more weeks. We'll see what's up with the future of Destiny 2. But yeah, I don't know. There's not too much else I feel like there's talk about this week, unfortunately. So maybe we'll have a shorter episode than even usual, unless you have any spring of the moment ideas of random things we can talk about Destiny 2. But I don't have much else.
What's the over under on a new subclass with the final shape?
Okay, well, so there's two parts to this. Because there is a leak out there that I don't know that has been said, and maybe this is already giving away things too much. But I don't want to explicitly talk about it because it is,
potentially leaked out there.
Yeah, there's leaks out there, so
I don't know the leaks. So I know that they've happened.
Yeah, there's a leak that happened, and it's very similar to a leak that happened before Lightfall, so it seems like it could be pretty plausible. But not having that in my brain, I'm going to be completely honest, and just, like, this is where my thought was. I personally was going into this expecting no subclass or no what other thing. The idea of people throwing out was a new enemy race. I was expecting neither of those things. I was expecting those to be things that they use to bolster up what they do beyond this. Because I think with Lightfall they focused so hard on a new subclass rather than the actual story of this moment. And I think at least my hope would be that I want them to focus on the big selling point being the conclusion of the story and having it be more tied around the story rather than it feeling like they're trying to tell the end of the story, but also juggling like, here's a new power, look at these powers. And like, at the same time, like what Lightfall did, like they just did not balance that very well. In my opinion, with Lightfall, and like like maybe they can probably take those learnings and maybe try and do it another way if they end up doing a new subclass with Final Shape. Maybe I'm hoping they have been given enough time to like start doing that. Maybe figure out ways they can separate maybe those two parts or something. But I would personally like, if that's too much for them to do an all-in-one thing, which I feel like was a little bit of the case with Lightfall, I'd rather them just wait. And even if it's something like, maybe we don't get it with Final Shape, they could just wait a season and then give us to it after that or something like that, and like give us like a season or two later and have that being like, oh, we discovered this power. What is this tied to? It could be just tied to something completely separate from the light and dark, and how are we amassing that? And they could build this new mystery into this new next part or whatever. There's definitely ways they can kind of build off these things beyond post Final Shape to like start building new stories, because we know they're going to continue doing Destiny stuff after Final Shape, and specifically I still think there's going to be Destiny 2 stuff. So like what form and shape that takes, we don't obviously know yet at all, but I feel like those would be more tantalizing things to keep people interested, rather than just being like, I don't know, there was just, we're going to go fight some more Cabal or something. Like, I feel like If they just go, if they, that you get the next season after Final Shape, and it's just like we're gonna fight some, cabal or some, faction to this or whatever, that people are gonna be like, I'm okay, what? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that's I guess is where I'm at headspace wise. Like new enemy race. Like again, this being so intrinsic to like the end of this saga, and the Light and Dark saga, and they're still like it's very keyed in on like the Hive are still very important to this with like Savathun, and now Savathun coming back, and also Shiva Wrath being around, and like they're clearly going to be at odds, and I don't think they're going to finish their at odds story with the Final Shape, like, or maybe we do fight Shivu in Final Shape, I don't know, but again, like those are so intrinsic to those. Like I think like with the end of Final Shape there, I think there's going to be like another big ending to like whatever some conflict we had with these races to an extent, so that way maybe another race can show up and begin another conflict, or we get involved in some other race's conflict as a new storyline post all of this stuff. At best, I think is like we will see like new enemy units that are like maybe they're like pyramid ship, more like like the whatchamacallit, the tormentor. Maybe we get more things in that vein, like but I don't expect like a whole new race, but maybe more like enemy unit, like an extra, like a new enemy unit in that vein to like show up in encounters and stuff. Maybe since the Hive are still, I could see the Hive maybe still being relatively involved with Shivu still being around. Maybe we get like new Hive that are like confused with crazy pyramid tech or something like from her brood. But I know she can also like take over other races, so maybe we get like Wrathborn, like pyramid infused enemies from other races or something like that. I don't know, but I don't expect something entirely like new, I guess, personally. So I admittedly probably am going in lower expectations than some personally, but that's just where I'm at, and I'll be pleasantly surprised if either of those things show up, I'll say, for sure. But that's where I'm at currently, is I don't expect either of those things, and I expect them to just be like focused on like this is going to be like more about like us telling the end of the story, and it'll be a bigger moment for the universe by telling the story through these events, and like making a bigger push on that stuff for this expansion, rather than like trying to introduce new subclasses or enemies or whatever.
Sure. You're making a lot of logical arguments here, Mike, and I hate it. But can I throw out a Hail Mary theory that I've had in my head for like a month?
Absolutely. Let me hear it.
Campaign is against the Witness. We think it's the big bad.
Okay.
Campaign ends with Xivu Wrath comes in, slices the Witness's big ass head off. She's the real big bad, and the raid is Xivu Wrath absorbing all the darkness and becoming the true big bad of Destiny. That's my Hail Mary theory. I've been thinking about that as like a possibility for a while.
Yeah, I think there's plausibility to that, because like I could see it being like a switch up of like she gets involved because Savathun maybe in these next few seasons goes like, hey, he's the one who fucked us over and like made us into this fucked up shit that we're now, like he's the one that kind of sent us on this path, and like she's been like this war god sent on slaughtering all kinds of amounts of people and whatever, and it's continuing this war for the Witness, who like actually didn't really give a shit about her. And I could see that like pushing her over the edge, and like she goes in there and fights. But I can also see it being like maybe like somehow that's turned on its head, and maybe like the Hive become our allies, and that's like maybe they pull like a WoW moment, like as we go into the Traveler, all the races are on our side now in some way, shape, or form with the Hive and with Shiva Wrath, and
that'd be hype. That'd be
and
cool.
then they could figure out some way to do it that way, potentially, and have all the races on our side rather than us fighting a bunch of those races in the pyramid somehow.
I just like people talk about them having to give Xivu Wrath her own expansion and everything, and I definitely like agree with that. And that people always also talk about like they need to do her right, because she has been like the most powerful antagonistic force in Destiny, I'd say, aside from like Oryx and kind of Savathun. Obviously, they're kind of, I would say, the big villains of Destiny, aside from the Witness. But I think like the way to make her look even cooler, and this is like a villain 101 move, have her kill what we think is the big bad.
Yeah,
It's like, guess
for
what?
sure.
It's me, bitch.
Yeah, this whole time. Yeah,
I think that's cool.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I wouldn't
for
be
sure.
upset if that happened. That's all.
I would definitely wouldn't be interested at all. Like, or like there's like some kind of other play, right? Like where like we make the uneasy alliance to revive. I could see like we also be really cool is like we have the uneasy alliance with Savathun, whatever in this upcoming season or whatever like the next 2 seasons are going to be about, and then like suddenly it kind of turns on its head, and rather than them like the Hive and them aligning with us, they kind of do their own thing, but they go after it. So then it becomes like a 3-way sort of conflict where like we're trying to get they're trying to go kill the Witness their own way, and that's like a bad way to do it. So we have to like intervene, but then we're kind of sent on our own devices to kind of have to fight both at the same time. And like I could see them pushing it that way maybe. So that way you're like that way we're just like fighting Hive and Lucian Hive in that crazy traveler world, but then also the Witness is there, so the Witness has his own units and stuff and does his own crazy thing or whatever.
And Cade's there.
Whoever else who knows
out.
if other dead guardians or
Tannix doesn't
show up.
I'm leaving.
Tannix needs to have his true moment for sure. The robot Tannix.
Still haven't gotten like an Elixir Guardian also. Like I feel like that could still potentially happen in the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see that happen for sure at the end, or that could be another like thing beyond Final Shape is like in the thing of saving it. He gives like the Traveler gives light to more races or whatever, and they learn to wield it or whatever.
A lot of great potential names for next season. Also, I've been thinking about Season of Deception, Season of the Witch.
Yeah, season of Revival.
Season of Revival.
So I was thinking,
there's so many good ones. You got a full list.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one to say the least. I'm very very hopeful for it, and be like hopeful for Destiny. Not to be like too down on it, but like it's had a rough go of it this year so far, and I'm always rooting it. I think we always are rooting for it to like have its upswing again and be really good, and like be excited for like a new big expansion again. Like I want to be after Lightfall. I want them to like come out and show like, yeah, you don't have to worry about that last thing we did. It was a little rocky, y'all. Don't worry about it. Look at this. This looks fucking sick as hell.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, yes, cool. Yeah, I'm in, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, we'll probably be watching along. People we'll definitely probably be there
the 22nd of August to watch it live and react, and probably jump in a new season like we've done past couple years on twitch.tv/Irrational Passions. We'll probably put the VOD up here on Humble Tower this time though. But yeah, I think that's all we got for this week. It's a shortish episode than usual, but that's fine. We're again, it's that time of the year or end season where we're just kind of we're waiting for the next big hit to come, and you don't feel bad for enjoying the downtime as we've I feel like we've reiterate this every episode recently, but it's totally okay. Go listen. If you don't want to listen to us, go to youtube.com and listen to your true Destiny takeover Dado, who literally just put out his things. the most perfect thumbnail in the world just says, "Please take a break." On his thing. It's totally okay. You don't have to feel like you're missing out on that much. If you're really worried about missing out on Solstice for whatever weird ass reason, like I can tell you, having finished all the challenges and gotten a couple rolls of that rocket, you're totally not missing out on anything. You're fine.
Maybe spend Bright Dust on those ornaments because the Warlock set's great.
Yeah, some good armor. So that's if you're there for that.
Commander Commandant.
Yeah, Commandant. The Titan has a similar vibe where they have that cool like kind of jacket and the
frill jacket
and the like kind of like commander shoulder pads. Looks good. Yeah. Good sets for sure. So I would say if you're into the Destiny drip, then maybe go grab those if you can. But otherwise, you're good. But and also we're good for this week's episode of Helm to Tower. Thanks everybody as always for either watching us here on YouTube or on podcast services. We will be back next week because now we know we're going to start getting some hot blog action with some updates. So we'll definitely be covering those in an episode next week. So we'll see you then. Bye.